So for this week on Cyber School, we're talking about a product that has come out, and we haven't really talked about it. We've had it at a couple different trade shows, and this thing has really been a big thing for people to come over and just press the big red button. It draws a lot of attention to anybody out there at the trade shows, and I figured I would talk about it this week. It's basically an update to our existing standard outdoor intercom with a different style of a button, commonly referred to internally as the big red button. So what is this? This is, basically the outdoor intercom platform with just a modified button on it. We went for a large kind of red, what's known as, commonly a mushroom style button where it actually protrudes and you can press it, either with, say your forearm, your elbow, the palm of your hand, instead of a traditional button that you would have to use a digit, you typically your finger to actually depress the button into the actual button itself, where this one is a large surface mount style that you could just kind of slap to actuate. And of course, since this is using, kind of our standard product for the outdoor intercom, it's again just a different faceplate with a different button. It's going to maintain the expectations and standards that you're already going to have for that kind of product. The only thing that's been adjusted is literally the faceplate, because the opening for the button itself is a little bit bigger with the big red button, and it's got, a different style of a button, but everything else is exactly the same. And we designed for this to be a little bit easier to activate over the traditional standard intercom, just because of the button style. Again, with a regular style button, you actually have to kind of aim your finger and to press it properly, which can be difficult. In the case of an emergency, where you have to devote say half a second to look at the intercom to press the button, or if you're digitally challenged, you've got problems with your digits, you don't have any, you've got arthritis, what have trouble pressing a button with a finger, it can be easier to kind of slap a button in that sense, where it's a big mushroom style. So specifically about the product, again, because this is kind of built off the standard 011186 platform, it's got the IP65 rating that you would expect, the onboard normally open style relay, standard PoE, and it's going to be compatible with all of your intercom accessories. Again, this is essentially the standard outdoor intercom with a different button. So it's essentially equivalent to the standard intercom that we have today. Why did we come out with something like this? Why did we go through and redesign our existing outdoor intercom that we've been selling for more than 10 years now? It's super popular, has a lot of options out there, and it works. Why would we make something new than basically redesign the product? Well, one, we got some interest from the market, with some of the different resellers that we've started to work with our reseller certification program. They work in different areas and they have some different feedback that they give to us, and we really like listening to feedback. So we got just some interest from the market for a different style of intercom that was easier to depress for some folks that are digitally challenged, meaning they can't use a particular finger. And to that end, traditional buttons can be hard to depress. You have to have a finger or something to actually press the button in, and in the event of an emergency, you can't just kind of slap the front face of the intercom to be able to make a call. You actually kind of have to aim something to press the button properly. So it can make it hard to press. And then in certain scenarios, whether it's say a medical facility or what have you, potential user contamination could occur with a standard intercom, because you've only got that small little button to press. You have to use your finger. You can't really press it with your elbow. So if you just want, you're a surgeon, you just prep for surgery, and for some reason you got to press the button on an intercom, you could kind of check it with your hip. You could hit it with your forearm. Something that you don't necessarily need to keep as clean as you would your fingers. Say you're going to go into an operating suite, you got to make the call from the intercom. I'd much rather hit that intercom button with my elbow versus my finger that I'm about to put gloves on and then go cut somebody open. Another thing, it's a sad truth for a lot of folks out there, but everybody is aging. Aging is one of those things that none of us can fight off, and the general population here in the States and the rest of the greater part of the world is aging. The population is getting older, and some of those folks require different accommodations, and a traditional intercom might not be advantageous for some folks. I know there are people in my own specific family, greater family, that have pretty bad arthritis issues. So being able to press a traditional intercom with a digit is extremely hard for some folks. So having a different option that's more accessible to an aging population increases the sales capability of the intercom with really not increasing the price point too much. And again, one thing that I've really been hitting on in the event of an emergency when split seconds count, just having a big mushroom button that you can just kind of slap in the general direction, hit the button, and then make an outbound call from the intercom is much, much easier than having to direct your attention to an intercom to actually press the button in the traditional sense of our usual product. So, in the event of an emergency or somewhere, that emergencies might happen, this could be a super advantageous button. So to that end, let's talk about some use cases specifically for this intercom that might not necessarily apply, or this one might be better suited to than our traditional intercom. Well, of course, it's an intercom. So any kind of use case that you would have for a traditional intercom. So of course, something like, the front door of your building, drive up area, what have you, shipping and receiving dock, standard intercom could work really well there. But this is also super advantageous for medical scenarios where you're dealing with something like a patient intake room or a surgery prep area where you're worried about potential contamination to stuff on your hands. You don't really want to touch something with your hands with a big mushroom style button. As long as you can, kind of, get something up against the button, you can depress it, whether it's, your arm, your hip, what have you, you can actually depress that without needing a digit. So that way you can keep your hands clean. Manufacturing is another really good place for something like this. We've got some different customers that we work with in the manufacturing area that work with big assembly lines where they've got different products that are going down a line. And in the event there's some kind of an emergency or a fault on that manufacturing line, being able to just slap a big button, send a call out to somebody, blink the attached strobe kit that's attached to it, makes it super useful in that kind of a scenario. Also, another one is a paint booth where, somebody might be, working with a paint gun, they're in big coveralls, they got big gloves on and everything, and they just need to be able to, make an outbound call to somebody. Hey, I need more, paint for my paint gun. I'm in the middle of something running out, my paint bucket's empty, bring me another bucket. Really easy to just slap that big button. And again, delivery areas are super useful for this, kind of the traditional intercom. And of course, when we're dealing with, retirement and assisted living facilities, just places where, people are digitally challenged more often, again, with that kind of aging population that, is just going on throughout the world, this can be super useful. So in areas where, people at those locations might congregate, entrances, resident rooms, or hallways, basically anywhere that an emergency could occur, it'd be real easy to press that button in that kind of a sense. And of course, in education, you might be dealing with special needs users or just any kind of area that somebody might need help. This could be a super advantageous, easy unit to use in there, and it's very eye-catching with that big red button on the front of the intercom to be able to get people's attention, so that way they can interact with the intercom to be able to get notification out of that particular emergency that's occurring. So the big red button, to summarize everything, it's the same underlying feature set of your traditional outdoor intercom. So if you've used our outdoor intercom before and you're looking for something a little bit different, this thing will meet those exact expectations. It's just a different faceplate with a different button on it. It's the exact same hardware underneath the hood. So if that's an intercom that you already know and love, it's a really great option there. It does have some increased usability capability with that new button on there. Gives a lot more flexibility just because it's a bigger surface mount style button that doesn't need to be depressed with a digit. This capability, the kind of more ease of use to it, allows it to be used in some more unique scenarios where a standard intercom could work, but might be a little bit more challenging. And again, a nice thing that, one thing that, I talked about with this being very popular at different trade shows, because we just recently finished our trade show circuits for, the first half of the year. Most people that were coming by our booth always wanted to come over and press this big red button because it's just really satisfying to press. It's a really nice it's just nice button travel when it clicks. It's a nice click. It's a good button. It's definitely worth your time and worth checking out if you're interested in other options for CyberData intercoms.
Thank you for watching this edition of Cyber School. If you have any questions, please get in contact with our sales department. They are available by email at sales@cyberdata.net or by phone at 831-373-2601 extension 334. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe for more content like this from CyberData.